education of a different book and a different scripture. Things weren't coming from one source. Everything was kind of spread out, and everybody was learning different ways. And to me, it seemed like nothing was really organized.
Nothing was really unified, organized.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. So how did you go about now? Did this kind of take you away from God? Because now you go through this, and there's a gap between you getting to know Islam. Was there a gap now in this because you didn't have a system on how to approach God the correct way and whatnot? There was some confusion here.
Yes.
Did this take you away, and you started to just?
It definitely did. There were times in my life where it didn't quite make sense, so I kind of didn't really pay attention too much about it anymore, and I didn't feel like I could really look into it anymore. Just things didn't like I said, it just didn't make sense. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Things did not make sense at all to me.
It's clean. Just didn't make sense.
It just didn't make sense, and it was harder for me to worship and to pray. I mean, you can't pray to something that doesn't make sense to you. It's just it's illogical.
Yeah, you also I know you have a brother who actually accepted Islam before you.
Yes.
Yeah. So you had some contact. Did he have any kind of influence on helping you, bringing you to this way of life, or did he ever present? Because I know he's been Muslim about a year, longer than you, about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to say that I think he definitely kind of opened the eyes a little bit with certain things he would look up and research, and then he would always sometimes would bring to my attention. So following that, I kind of was like, wow, you're right. And then I would go upon myself to look into further research.
So the stuff he was researching, he'd, come to some points, bring it to you, and you'd be like...
Yeah, I'm sure it was pretty surprising to him as well. So he probably, he would always come to me and say, hey, look at this. Did you know this? And I didn't know this, actually. Yeah. So it was kind of good,
Interesting. Okay. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back.
Where are you going? Where are you going? North, south, east, or the west? Where are you headed? Oh, where are you headed? Turn to Allah, that's the best. 'Cause He is there wherever you are. So turn to Allah. Where do you live? Oh,
welcome back to the Dean Show, where we have a young man, our brother, who accepted Islam. And he's telling us his story. It's quite interesting. So we left out, we were talking about your brother. Also, he's Muslim, and he was investigating Islam, and then he started to point some things out to you. It started to make sense. You started to question. And
yes. Yep.
So did everything now that you started to, because I know personally when people actually listen, because a lot of people don't want to listen. They're into the rat race of life. If you want to sit and talk about going to a party or having a good time, and where could we meet? When you start talking about the Creator, about these more serious questions, a lot of times people think, man, this guy's lost it or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
It's not cool, right?
It's not the thing to be in.
It's not the thing to be in, but people fail to realize that, look, we're all going to die, right? So just like everything, in this vicinity here, from this cup here to this notebook to everything on your body, someone's responsible for putting that together, right? There's a creator of everything. So just like our body, and everything that myself, we've been created, and we're going to have to be responsible for what He's given us, right? So anyways, not to get off to another topic, but tell me, what kind of encounters did you have with Islam? Because a lot of people, they have encounters through the media or through certain people gossiping or talking about it with no certain knowledge. Did you have any cases like this? Did you think all Muslims were terrorists? Did you think all Muslims were Arabs with big beards and turbans and whatnot?
Well, initially, yes. I have to say, especially after the tragedy of 9/11, my first initial reaction to Islam would be, that's kind of a very extreme religion, and I really had no knowledge of it whatsoever. So the only knowledge I was taking in was just strictly from the media and what news stations would be talking about, terrorisms, and just simply how they would always target a Muslim who was a terrorist and bring out the religion behind it, and kind of put a lot of focus on the religion instead of the person. And with Islam, I mean, after doing research and and learning more about it, about families and how a person lives his life. And it's just, man, a very peaceful human being looking to do nothing but good and to stay in a straight path, to do well. And I just, after that, it just really opened my eyes. And now you can't compare to what you see in the media. It just doesn't even make sense.
So it's a clear distinction. Now, when you have the proper knowledge and you take the time to really, come at this with an open mind and a humble heart, it's totally different from what somebody else trying to feed you.
That's definitely what it is, yeah.
Okay, so now you started to research and it's things are starting to make sense. What exactly of Islam really started to capture your heart? What are those times, or what did you reflect upon? What actually about Islam really attracted you?
Well, I'd like to say what it was probably was the fact that since I really had no knowledge on the religion, on Islam, being Catholic as a younger child, I started to realize and learn that a Muslim does believe in Jesus as well as Catholics and Christians do, and everything's pretty much really similar. It's not too much different. It's just a matter of, I believe in one God, and Jesus is one of the greatest messenger, but is a messenger, and Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is also a prophet. I mean, we're not praying to Muhammad, we're praying to Allah, we're praying to God.
To God, yeah.
So there's just one God, and that's pretty much it. And that's what I did not know previously. Before getting more knowledge on Islam, I thought that this was just a completely different kind of religion. I had no idea they were eating funny and doing certain things, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
But now I do know, and that's why I accepted it into my life.
So now that's that education. Once you started to get proper education, now you started to develop a better understanding, and things started to make sense.
Right.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I'm glad, because many people they don't take a time out, they don't want to read, they don't want to research, and they just go, and because it's easier to follow. Would you say?
I think so, yeah. And if you really take the time to look into it and see, okay, well, in Islam they prohibit drinking alcohol. Well, that's not actually a bad thing for you in your life. Eating pork. Pork has been proven. It's pretty bad for your health-wise. Yeah. And there's a lot of different things, especially scientific reasons and things that really make a lot of sense if you just stop and think about it. So that's pretty much another thing.
That's the key thing. If you stop and think, take a time out from I always call it the rat race of the life, because everybody's going somewhere to come back to the same place. It's like going here to come back home, to go to work, to come back home, and then 20, 30 years pass by, you haven't reflected about life, which you actually got a chance to do. Tell us, when we get back, we're going to hear about an incident that really affected your life, and we're going to talk about this. Stay tuned for the Dean Show.
Where